Ever since the start of video games, we've always been thinking about how we can take these games on the go. From primitive concepts like the Game & Watch, to the Game Boy, the PlayStation Portable, and now modern consoles like the Switch or the Steam Deck that allow you to take full-fat games on the go.
But it's gotten me thinking, although it's super light, it's still a lot of bulk and weight to take with me.
Well, instead of a console, I'm always taking my phone with me.
So, can I get by just using my phone? I've been going on for years about how smartphones are the way that most people play games. From Candy Crush to Clash of Clans, but most played games are actually played on smartphones.
So they're made to use the touchscreen and to optimize the layout for something that's relatively small. Whereas console games are made to be used, well, on a TV that has a lot more details and which you're using with a controller.
Obviously, you don't have a controller on your phone, but what if you add a controller? Oh my goodness, this looks a lot closer to a Steam Deck now. Though it's smaller and lighter, and it actually doubles as a real phone that you can use for taking phone calls. But looking ridiculous is my specialty. What actually are the limitations on using my phone as a gaming console? For example, Balatro or Slave Aspire can end up on your smartphone. A lot of those games actually don't require that much energy to run. Apple made a big deal last year at WWDC about wanting its Resident Evil games and other games partnered with studios to come to the iPhone and the iPad. But it's too little and too late. A lot of these games could run on the iPhone. It's a very performant machine. The issue is that they're not optimized for it and they're not sold on it.
There are more than 10,000 games on the Xbox Store, and a lot of these are AAA, very demanding games. Whereas if you contrast that with 300 game ports on the iOS Store, if you're anything like me, you might be asking yourself why? Well, first, it's in general difficult to adapt games to run on a different platform. Going from consoles to PCs, there were so many stories about ports that were botched or not taken care of properly by the developers, and that was for the lucrative PC markets, where it's possible to charge $60, $70 for a game. It's much harder to charge that on a mobile app, because you're competing with Candy Crush and all these other free apps that are making money off of microtransactions and selling your data. But also, Apple is very good at antagonizing developers. So they take 30% off of every game purchase, and it has led developers like Epic, the developers of Fortnite, to sue Apple to open up their platform, and as well as Google, to alternative app stores that would allow these publishers to circumvent the 30% platform fee. This behavior, both from Epic and Apple, has meant that it's impossible to play Fortnite, the most popular game in the world for a long time, on an iOS phone outside of the EU. And in the EU, Apple has been fined $500 million for not complying with the rulings. So it's quite petty. That's one of the rare instances where Android phones have a leg up in terms of the gaming sphere. A lot of developer attention is focused on the App Store and has a lot of exclusives, like, for example, Supergiant's Hades game. Apple really, despite saying that they want developers to develop games for their platforms, has not made it easy for anyone to commit to their platforms. While there are some outliers, a lot of these mobile games tend to be designed with microtransactions and exploiting human psychology in mind.
For example, I'm a huge fan of Tetris, but the native game of Tetris is just really, really terrible on the iPhone.
I feel so strongly about this because I used to love playing Tetris on Android back in 2018. But then the app was replaced by the current application that sucks and has all these like VIP shopping stores, credits, and of course pushy ads, gambling, ephemeral content. These are not exclusive to mobile games, but it feels particularly irritating and constraining on a mobile phone where on an iOS phone you're not able to download any custom applications. So is that it? I can't use my iPhone as a gaming console? Not so fast. There are free ways to play games on a phone. First is what we were just talking about, downloading an app and running it from an app store. The second would be to use a game emulator to run an application from another platform. It's allowing you to run consoles from, well, Game Boy to the Nintendo DS or 3DS.
I prefer to play on the NES version, so I can use a game emulator to have, well, a version of Tetris that I actually like come onto the phone and be able to play that. There's also the idea of cloud gaming. Instead of trying to run everything on your phone, you can take a computer, much like this one, and have it stream the game to your phone.
Xbox and PlayStation have apps that allow you to stream games directly from your console to your smartphone while you're out of the house. And that would be great if you had a console or if I had a console. But I do not. It's possible to use Steam to run games locally on your computer and stream them over to your phone.
Cloud gaming definitely has its pros in the sense that, well, you would, in theory, be able to play games on this smartphone that even this console can't run.
If you don't have your own computer or console, you can use someone else's computer. That's called the cloud. NVIDIA, Microsoft, Shadow all have offers to stream a game from their servers to your phone. Heck yeah, this is the 5G world that we all wanted to live in. But this is Tech Asia, and outside of the US, or if you're lucky, the EU, there are no services that allow you to stream games in Hong Kong that I've found, and very few around Asia.
Not only that, if you're paying for a cloud gaming subscription, well, you're paying for a subscription. That can go upwards of $20 a month, versus this one, which I can get for a couple of hundred and then resell if I'm not happy with it.
It's a lot of faff even then, and the applications are buggy. You're dependent on a network connection and it can be spotty. It's not great.
I probably am going to keep taking my Steam Deck when I'm going shooting to Shenzhen or when I'm going to go traveling soon, because despite how much bulkier it is, it's just nice to have a dedicated machine that is made to run it, that you can play on the airplane or that you can play when the mobile networks are unreliable, versus having to rely on mobile networks or limiting your selection of games. Until next time, take care.